Jack here. So about a week ago I uploaded a reaction video to the hilarious take of Cody from Pointless Hub on the two disaster movies Deep Impact and Armageddon, two absolute gems of Hollywood unleashed on the audiences in 1998, both dealing with the impending doom of a fast approaching asteroid, both experiencing a minor impact, and both suggesting methods to divert said asteroid.
Personally, I don't know how they survived the tests.
And that's pretty much where the similarities end here, because while one takes a more scientific approach to it with sadness, oh, the sadness here dripping from every proverbial pore of this movie.
Daddy.
The other just let Michael Bay cook.
Mr. Chappelle, you're next.
Oh, gee, lady, I just came here to drill.
Oh, so did I.
Few moments.
He's got space dementia.
The interesting thing about that reaction video was that I made an editing mistake, a funny one at that, one that saw me hold a muted monologue that, despite how funny it appeared, actually had me referencing the YR4 asteroid, you know, the asteroid that is heading towards Earth, and with the now updated information on the funny rock, I thought that it would be a great time to talk about it. So, to keep things simple, we have an object that is probably going to pass us in 2032. And when I say probably, I mean that the alternative is that it's going to Kessen drift into us. Kessen, by the way, is the name of a meteorite that fell in Japan in 1950. That's the closest Tokyo Drift reference that I could make. This has of course caught the attention of many. Luckily, not the conspiratorial kind in the way that the eclipse of yesteryear did.
At the Devil's Comet.
If you believe we are living in the last days, follow or subscribe now for more.
Nope, this was never supposed to happen, as this deadly biblical warning is happening in real life in less than 1 month, and life on this planet may no longer exist.
And please, I really hope that did not jinx it. But as of now, the concern has been about the tangibility of a strike, but I do believe that the concern needs some context, which I hope to provide here. First of all, basis. Nomenclature. Asteroids are of course pieces of space rock that during atmospheric transition dissipate a shit ton of energy to leave the trails that we always observe in the night sky. A matter of fact, the Earth does plow through several hundred tons of meteors every day. That's why bolide hunting is a thing, and why you will see a shooting star poke your friend and try to get them to see the same thing, and then they stare at you like, stop playing. If you've ever seen a shooting star, you know what I mean. We do very rarely get something the size of the Chelyabinsk meteor that hit in Russia in 2013. That not only illuminated the sky, created shockwave, but went to do a touchdown and became a meteorite. The asteroid we are dealing with, however, 2024 YR4, which was discovered in December of 2024, of course, has a slightly uncertain size. We know that it is somewhere between 50 and 100 meters thanks to the reflective index that we can use to measure it. And here is what its orbit kind of looks like if we were to simulate it using NASA's visualization, where till around 2032 it really does get close to Earth. This of course begs the question, what are the potential risks here?
I bother everyone for a minute. Let's take a look at the big one.
Now first, like in the movie Deep Impact, we spotted an asteroid that is within realistic means. So what do I mean by that? Well, the movie Armageddon, in contrast, proposed something that was the size of Texas. A moon-sized object, to say the least, that somehow managed to sneak past every telescope we have. To which I'm just gonna say, Please scratch that, okay? We are not dealing with anything of the sort. We are not dealing with a Fantastic Four level threat. It is not Galactus. It's not a Dino or Planetary killer. Something like the Chicxulub only shows up every 100 million years, so leave that to the future generations who likely will be living across a Dyson sphere or something of the sort. Like, they would have left the planet a long time ago. This one, however, is a bit more similar to something that I believe I mentioned in that very video, being the Barringer Impactor, that if it strikes will leave a crater that is around 10 to 20 times its size. As for example, the Barringer, which was 50 meters, left a crater that was 1200 or 3900 feet. And as I've mentioned, despite the fact that they do dissipate a lot of energy through the atmosphere and create these bow-lights, right? Because this process happens in seconds, there is a chance, of course, of it breaking through the atmosphere and actually hitting the Earth. And some of the impacts can be pretty massive. And historically, we've always used Cold War metrics to calculate the impact force of these. And once again, similar to the Barringer, the impact it caused was something about 1,000 times the nuclear bomb that dropped on Hiroshima. Yeah, a thing that happened. Now, this is where I also have to point out that we have created bombs more powerful than this and had them detonate in the sea, causing indirect consequences but not direct deaths. Yeah, I'm trying to keep this light, but I think I'm kind of failing. So like, the impact in the sea is cool and is likely to produce less radiation than our own nuclear test that has poisoned the waters and turned the actual fish green. Not doing an Alex Jones joke here, okay? As long as it's not near a large landmass. If it's in the middle of a city, then we're talking about something else, something a lot more devastating. But the thing is, will it hit though? Because like I showed you with the simulation, we have an uncertainty cone where the asteroid is likely to pass between us and the moon. So if the predictions stay as they are now, we are likely to have a safe event, something that people can just sit around and watch with the family in the year of 2032, just like yesteryear's eclipse. But very much like said eclipse, the press is likely to make clickbait out of this, which has already occurred because of the increased accuracy. Not quite understanding though that as the asteroid gets closer to the date, our measurements just gets better and better. As an example, the collision percentage was initially 1 in 80, i.e. 1.25%, which would place it in a 3 on the Torino scale. Because of the uncertainty region, however, this right there, we needed more data, and because of the way that we tend to detect asteroids is by looking at the background sky and detecting when a funny rock is reflecting the light of the sun. Around April of 2025, that process will become kind of impossible as it would go dark, i.e. where the sun doesn't shine, meaning that we had to crank our telescope to 11 and have them do their job. For example, the James Webb telescope will be switched off safe mode, which is a mode where it basically just turns around to make sure that it's more important and expensive mirrors don't get damaged. But that one will be switched off to make sure that we can make use of that to get more observations. However, some of the kick-ass ones, telescopes that we have here on Earth, like the Gemini South telescope in Chile, made use of red band, which is just a specific wavelength of observation, where it caught this. And by tracking its motion, we got some new estimates leading to the update that got some people scared. Yes, raised from 1.25 to 3.1. Yet, for context, the movement of the objects, its size, even the wavelength that we're observing it within, and even something as the reflectiveness of the moon, which was like 70% at the time that these pictures were taken, do affect the margin of error of our observations. So we're talking about something that we know as close as possible, but there are variations in the process. So we'll have to wait till the observation from James Webb reach us to get the most accurate data. So finally, let's talk deviation. I said that the estimate of the size was somewhere around 50 to 100 meters, probably smaller. But the interesting thing here is that we've actually already dealt with an object of a similar size, actually bigger, and we've actually deviated it. I'm of course talking about the asteroid Dimorphos and the NASA DART mission, where we hit another funny rock. I know that I'm saying that a lot, I'm sorry if it's kind of cringe, but that's kind of one of the ways that I remember things. But anyways, this was like 63 meters, if I remember correctly, and with just 3 megatons of TNT, we managed to change its path. It was an insane undertaking. The engineering process is pretty damn crazy, and I do believe that the channel Real Engineers do have a video on that I watched like a couple of years ago. Please check it out, it's very informative. But coming back to things, planetary defense programs are a thing. They do exist. They do not consist of nuking the object in question, nor training oil drillers to send them there Armageddon style.
Mr. Chappelle, you're next.
Oh, gee, lady, I just came here to drill.
Oh, so did I.
So we do have countermeasures, and many countries are also interested in dealing with that, like even China, who did not even have such a program last year, now do. So like hopefully me giving you some of this information help you assess it a bit better, because a thing that constantly bothers me is how news like this is covered, right? It often tends to go towards sensationalism and kind of remove the understanding, because people will always have the thought of, oh, it's gonna hit us, and if it hits the earth, what's gonna happen if it actually hits a city? The issue with that, however, is that you have already a percentage of now 3.1, which is likely to be reduced again, and you suddenly time it with another percentage of casualties, which you should not even be considering at all now. So to me, obviously, this is something that I find to be super interesting, less gloom and doom and more actually interesting to get to understand. But hopefully a video like this will help you not worry too much about it, because I do remember again that last year with something as simple as an eclipse, people were losing their minds, making of a lot of things which were, to be a bit cynical about it, very nonsensical. But anyways, this was a video about my correction to something that I did that was kind of goofy in a previous video, and people who wondered why I did not cover the asteroid, that's why. But hopefully this video gave you an insight into that. That being said though, wish you all to have a wonderful day, and see you guys in the next one. Bye.